You're a residential roofing contractor who explains very thoroughly to the homeowner why the new roof will need improved attic ventilation. The homeowner politely rejects your estimate for the new roof and hires your competition to do the project instead. You later discover that very information you provided to the homeowner was given to your competition, and you're perfectly okay with that. Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of our podcast, Airing It Out with AirVent. My name is pscelsi. I host AirVent's Attic Ventilation Ask the Expert seminars offered every winter to residential roofing professionals all across North America since 1998. Michael Houston, sales manager at Lindholm Roofing Company in Chicago, Illinois, is a big believer in sharing information with homeowners so they can make informed decisions about their roof project, whether or not the homeowners buy that new roof from Lindholm. Michael is our guest today. Welcome to the podcast, Michael.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me. It's quite an honor.
Oh, we are very excited to have you as our guest, Michael. I have known Michael for many years. He's a regular participant in our educational seminars. When we swing through town in Schaumburg, Illinois, Michael's always in the audience and participating with his peers. He provides many field photos to help us further educate the industry, including some classic ice dam photos fairly recently. Thank you for always sharing with us, Michael.
No problem. Chicago, we're the Windy City, cold in the winter with snow and ice and melting. And it becomes an issue in many homes. And then, of course, warm in the summer where it's hot and rainy. Also, the ice damming can create issues that the summer and spring rains expose those issues.
Yes.
So you always want to do the best for the homeowner.
I love it, Michael. You're in a climate that allows very quick access to sample real world situations. Thanks for sharing them.
All 4 seasons, Paul.
I love it. All four. Michael, if I may, one of our recent exchanges via instant messenger caught my attention, and it's actually the foundation of this podcast episode. I'd like to read that exchange for our listeners, Michael.
You want to take it? Bring it.
Thank you. So Michael wrote to me the following. I have earned many jobs due to my grasp and understanding of proper attic ventilation. Some of the times, Lindholm Roofing's price estimate was higher than others. I also know that even when Lindholm was not used for the project, the homeowner took our knowledge to the competition that was hired, and it was appreciated. I've even been asked to come back to make sure it was done correctly. A little knowledge goes a long way. Before we unpack that powerful statement, I want to elaborate just a bit what we mean when we say, when Michael says, actually, a little knowledge goes a long way. The knowledge in this case is the need for proper attic ventilation as part of an overall roofing project. And if I may, just for the benefit of our listeners who might not be familiar how proper attic ventilation works, attic ventilation is supposed to be 50% intake airflow through vents installed in the soffit, overhang, or low on the roof, and 50% exhaust airflow through vents positioned high on the roof, near or at the peak of the roof. This combination of intake and exhaust airflow helps to flush out any potentially damaging heat and moisture buildup inside the attic. And as Michael already mentioned, it also helps to fight ice dams, but it requires both intake and exhaust airflow. So back to your powerful statement, Michael. My immediate knee-jerk reaction the first time I read it was disappointment and frustration. That was my immediate reaction. I was disappointed your estimate was rejected by the homeowner. And then I was frustrated that the homeowner turned around and provided the detailed information from your estimate to your competition. But talking with you, Michael, I could tell I don't think you were either disappointed or frustrated with that outcome. Why?
Wow. I feel appreciated. Knowledge is a huge element in any job, anything that someone wants to do. I have a lot of knowledge in the roofing industry and how an attic ventilation system works, how a roofing system is installed. It's not only the ventilation, but there's so many other components. But the ventilation is a huge element in allowing for the roof to work properly, the utilities to operate at a much more efficient level. Anyway, in terms of losing jobs, no one's ever happy when you go out to do an estimate and a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 job, you lose it because someone else was lower than you, but your knowledge was used to help them make an informed decision with the other contractor, and your knowledge was used to help the other contractor do a better job than they would have otherwise done. The homeowner has come back to me a few times and said, hey, can you come back and look at my roof? Can you make sure it was done right? Oh, they've thrown me a bottle of wine, a 6-pack of beer, $20, whatever. You know, it's something. Tickets to a Cubs game once. Hey.
Yeah.
So things like that really go a long way. It's knowledge. It's knowing what you're talking about and knowing how to put it in simple enough terms for a homeowner to understand and realize that it's important. I differentiate myself a lot by looking in the attic. Oftentimes the competition doesn't bother. They come to the home, they're in the sidewalk, they go along the sidewalk with a rolling measure stick. They go along the sides of the house, they take a couple pictures, they count, they measure as accurately as they can, but it's just not as good. If you go into the attic and you find mold or issues with the plywood or decking, then you know there's already a moisture content issue. There's a lack of proper ventilation. Sometimes you find bath vents that you can't see on the roof. You don't even know are in the house because you don't go in the house to look. You find bath vent hoses just laying in the insulation. Well, what's a bath vent hose doing, Paul? It's throwing warm, moist shower and air into the attic, and then it has nowhere to go. It just explodes into a demented ruinization of the entire home sometimes. So it's important to know, it's important to look in the attic. It's important to know what they have. It's important to know what's going on.
Thank you, Michael. Awesome information. And for our listeners, we've done a past episode on where does the bathroom fan ductwork go. That's not a good deal. Thank you, Michael. So Michael, I'm gonna dig a little deeper, please. Getting asked by the homeowner to swing by the house to make sure my competition did the roofing project correctly, in particular the attic ventilation, let's just say. Michael, why would I, Paul's Roofing, let's pretend I'm Paul's Roofing, why do I want to swing by? I wasn't even hired.
Well, let's be honest. I don't always go the same day.
Okay.
But I'll get out there because my area, I'm lucky enough to have a compact area, so it's a little easy for me to go look at a roof, go look in an attic, go give the homeowner some, hopefully usually some feel good feelings about a job that they have already paid for or about to pay for. I may suggest small changes on occasion. I'm not one to knock another man's work, but if I see something that maybe could have been done a little better, I'll put it in those cordial words.
Sure.
And maybe sometimes the roofer needs to come back to change something. Sometimes I've seen ridge vents installed. They're supposed to be 3/4 of an inch on either side of the ridge or either side of the header. I've seen 1/2 inch. I've seen 3 inches. Either one is just not correct. And so it's important that the homeowner gain the entire advantage of the product that they're paying for. You want them to have at least 80 to 90% of the efficiency of the product. It's difficult, as you know, Paul, it's difficult to have a perfectly balanced system. And
Yes.
the system is only going to work as well as the lesser of the two elements, whether it be lesser intake or lesser exhaust. It's only going to work as well as the lesser of the two. But if it's working efficiently enough, it's working enough, and there's formulas that you've shared with us to know that it's correct, then the homeowner should be good.
Michael, we're calling this episode, as you know, A Little Knowledge Goes a Long Way, thanks to your statement. I love that statement. Sharing knowledge with the homeowner, whether or not the homeowner hires your company, my company, pretending I'm a roofer, is a good thing, honestly, because it usually results in a correctly installed roof, which is good, obviously, for the homeowner, but it's also good for the industry. It's good for the industry's reputation. The more roofing companies installing roofs correctly, the best way possible, the better overall. And it sounds like that's where you're headed with this in part. It's a good end result, whether or not you actually are the one that got hired.
Again, Paul, I always want to get hired. I want to have 100% close.
Right.
But sometimes you don't. But the nice thing about people calling you back, people trusting you, people understanding that you know a little more than the next guy because you've taken the time, and the company that I work for, Lindholm Roofing in Chicago, has made sure that the employees here understand the different concepts, not just attic ventilation of a whole roofing system. Even if I don't get the job, these people will refer me to their friends, family, and neighbors. I get referrals out of lost jobs. How many people could say that?
Right. I like that. And Michael, that happens in large part.
Oh, yeah.
Because of your follow-up.
Follow-up, displaying the fact that we know, and I'm not the only one at Lindholm. There's 11 other guys, another manager. I'm a manager as well, and 10 salesmen that I train and help and teach, and it's fun. I feel like the Paul of Lindholm Roofing.
Gosh, you're kind. Thank you, Michael.
Especially when it comes to attic ventilation, especially when you're teaching another guy that doesn't know a lead or a vent that comes in here off the street, and I can turn him into a knowledgeable guy because of the things that I've learned from you, the things I've learned from CertainTeed manufacturing. We've gone to the plant. GIF manufacturing. We've gone to the plant. ICO manufacturing. We've gone to the plant. They've taught us there. You've taught us in your seminars every year. In 23 years, this will be my 23rd year at Lindholm. I've probably been to, sorry, Paul, I missed a couple, but I've been to 18 AirVent seminars.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
The big blue, like 3 or 4 battery flashlight that you guys
yeah.
I still have that.
The mag lights.
The mag light.
The mag lights.
Gee, now those things are heavy.
They are heavy.
You can clock someone.
Hey, Michael, just to set the record straight, any knowledge I have is largely in part from talking with folks like yourself. And I mean this, I'm not a roofing contractor, but I do engage with contractors. And so your knowledge is shared with us, and that helps everybody. Michael, I want to say that your knowledge and your sharing of your knowledge, I've heard this story from others, and it goes a long way sharing it, and you get rewarded, maybe not immediately, maybe not next week, but it does come back, it sounds like, in time by other business that you didn't get that day, but you get it next time.
Don't get me wrong. I earn a lot of the business I quote with my knowledge, but sometimes the business you lose, you still get additional business from that with your knowledge.
With your knowledge.
Again, it's not just attic ventilation, but the system in general.
The whole system, yes.
Right.
So, Mike, I want to put you on the spot a little bit, and I know you're going to be a good sport about it. I want to let our listeners know that Michael is a regular guest on a home improvement radio show on WGN 720 AM radio in Chicago.
Home Sweet Home Chicago.
Yeah, Home Sweet Home Chicago. I love it. And Michael has shared a few sound bites from the show because he knows I'm interested in attic ventilation and roofing in general. Michael, they sound fantastic. Your sound bites, and you have a great voice for the radio. I want to ask you.
Radio too.
In fact, Michael, would you please? Is there an example question or two that stands out that you receive on the home improvement show that you would share with our audiences to put you on the spot a little bit?
No. Obviously, attic ventilation is a big part of a roof system in general. And oftentimes people will call in and say, hey, it's 80 degrees upstairs in my second floor in the summertime. And I've got an air conditioner. It's brand new. The filters are clean. I stick my head in the attic. It feels like it's 120. Well, guess what? That heat is trapped in that attic in the summertime. And I don't know what the word is, but it's just coming down from the attic and heating up the second floor.
Yes.
So attic ventilation is not important only in the winter, but of course also in the summer, if you have proper attic ventilation and that heat buildup from the outside temperature and outside sun, that heat buildup is allowed to escape properly, and you get a nice flow, intake, exhaust. It makes a big difference. The idea is to have the attic temperature as close to, but it's very difficult, as the outside air, both in winter and in summer. So when you can lower the attic temperature by 15, 20, 30 degrees by properly venting an attic, winter, spring, summer, or fall, you will allow the utilities, in this case, the air conditioner, to work a lot less. And of course, it's much more economical. And a properly vented attic is sometimes a free item, because once you put a proper ridge vent in, once you know the intake is there, unless you have a power fan system, it's a free properly ventilated item that's part of your home, that's going to allow for the heating and the air conditioning to work a lot more economically.
Yes, free, because once it's installed, there's no ongoing maintenance. It's just there.
It works.
Yeah,
it works.
Yeah, a power fan for our audience. A power fan would require a little bit of maintenance in the future when the motor eventually burns out. Yeah, right. Beautiful.
And we're talking about an electric one. There's also some very good quality solar powered fans, which go on when the sun's out and the attic's heating up.
Yes. And again,
that's pretty economical.
Yes. Not to make this a commercial, but AirVent does make solar powered fans as well. Michael, Michael, is there another sample question that comes to mind that you feel during the home improvement show for the call-ins?
Well, a lot of times, people ask specifically about ice damming. I mean, we talked about a summer issue. Now we're talking about a winter issue. What do I do to alleviate the ice dams? So there's different ways. First of all, you can use heat cables to eliminate the absolute inevitable buildup of snow and ice in the gutters where you don't have any heat loss. But the properly ventilated attic will lessen the amount of ice buildup at the gutter line and at the soffits, because the snow and ice is melting at a much more regulated rate. And so that is a key element, obviously. Less heat buildup in the attic, more equal melting of the snow and ice that's on the roof. And guess what? We're in Chicago.
Oh, yes.
Not Texas, where we have Cowboy fans. No, we're Bears fans. We play in the snow. Bring those Cowboys here, see how they do.
I love it. I'm with AirVent for our listeners, and we're based in Dallas, Texas. So Michael's having a little fun with me. And just to tee up past episodes, we have a past episode about ice dams, if someone wants to look that up. And we also talk about the temperature that the attic should be if the system is working correctly. Michael, I want to embarrass you a little bit, if you don't mind, my friend, about the poem. So Michael wrote a poem, and he shared it with He wrote it for AirVent, and I would like to read it to our audience listening. Michael wrote a poem in 2016, and I had the pleasure to read this poem to every seminar audience all across North America. And knowing that he was going to be our guest today, I found that poem, and here it is. A drum roll, please. Poem written by Michael Houston at Lindholm Roofing. Here we go. So a new roof is installed, and the shingles look great. But was it done right? There is a debate. While ice shield and felt and the flashings are new, proper ventilation is considered by only a few. If warm, moist air rises and has nowhere to go, what you'll need is a way to allow air to flow. Intake and exhaust, you should combine the two, and to balance them out is what you should do. So take a seat, contractors, because AirVent's seminar is in town. They'll explain proper ventilation as both a verb and a noun. Michael, I love that poem. That's so awesome.
I remember you reading that at our seminar. I think I sent it to you that day or the day before. I don't remember.
Yes, I shared it with the office. Everybody loved it. Thanks for letting me read it and embarrass you a little bit.
Maybe
Thank you, Michael.
Another one.
Yeah, if you want to write another one, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much. Hey, Michael, as we kind of wrap up this episode, is there anything you'd like to add for our listeners, either about a little knowledge goes a long way, or anything at all, Michael, in general?
You know what? As I said early in this podcast, a little knowledge does go a long way. In anything in life you do, secretary, you need to know how to type. You need to know some basic programs. You need to know some basics. Even as a cash register at a jewel or a librarian at a library, you need to know some things. In our industry, the roofing industry, just like anything else, knowledge goes a long way. The more you know, the more you can portray yourself as knowledgeable and understanding of a product or system that you're selling, the more success you're going to find in anything in life. You want to be a car salesman? Know about cars. You want to be a used car salesman? Know about all the cars. You want to be a Cowboys fan? Stop. Be a Bears fan. We can come and tell you.
Oh, Michael, this is awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, I want to thank you, Michael, very deeply for being our guest today. Thank you for all the sharing you've done over the years, pushing 2 decades plus. And if you ever want to write another poem, seriously, send it our way. We would love it. Let's please continue to keep in touch on behalf of AirVent, the industry, and homeowners. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Michael, so much. Gaining and sharing knowledge about your craft, about the role proper attic ventilation plays in an overall roofing project benefits you, your company, and the homeowner, even if the homeowner hires your competition. Well, that wraps up this episode. Please leave a review on YouTube or whatever platform you use to listen to this episode. Be sure to let us know if there's a topic you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Maybe you'd like to be a guest one day like Michael was a guest. Drop us a note on the podcast page of our website, airvent.com. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And please come back for more Airing It Out with AirVent. I'm Paul Pscelsi. Thanks for listening.